that can get up and down and run the floor a bit for them. But boy, that vaunted pick and roll between Steve Nash and Amar'e Stoudemire not being a weapon for the Phoenix Suns next season, it is going to be a very, very important training camp for Alvin Gentry and the Suns to find out exactly where they're going to make up the difference offensively with Amar'e Stoudemire being in New York City.
Well, right now their summer league team is 2 for 17 from the field.
That's not a good start.
But they're only down by 19 to 10. Chasing it down, the young man who just came in, Anton Pokrashov, the 24-year-old with the ball now for the Phoenix Suns off the miss. Spacing for Lawrence Hill, and the Stanford Cardinal can't convert once again, coming over the back of Weems, though. Gavin Edwards, the rookie out of UConn, from Gilbert, Arizona, trying to make the squad.
You guys had a chance yesterday to watch Gavin Edwards, and Kevin McHale was remarking that he had scouted him 3 years ago and couldn't believe that it was the same guy he was watching on this very court yesterday. Obviously making some strides and some improvement. Some of that has to do with playing time in terms of the numbers, but he's been working on his game, and Phoenix taking a look at him.
It'll stay in the offensive end of the Toronto Raptors.
Checking the contest now for Toronto.
Ronald Dupree has just come into the game, a guy with experience, NBA experience. Comes in for Toronto, a guy who's capable of scoring. Sonny Weems back to the free throw line, and Toronto's been able to get to the line, but look where they're shooting, 3-4 feet from the rim.
Yeah, they've had their feet in the paint quite a bit and keep finding their way to the free throw.
Sonny Weems back to the free throw line as we welcome you back to Las Vegas once again. Joel Myers along with Brent Barry, a 9-point lead for the Toronto Raptors. Not a lot of flow, a lot of whistles so far. The Toronto Raptors on the attack. They have taken 10 free throw attempts, 7 so far for the Phoenix Suns Summer League edition. D. Brown on the floor, out of Illinois, former member of the Utah Jazz. Another guy we talked about, Ronald Dupree. He's played 5 years in the NBA. Young man from Biloxi, Mississippi, who played his college ball at LSU. And Cheek Som, former member of the Detroit Pistons, wearing number 31, matching up with Sean Pruitt in the post. Gavin Edwards, strong but online. So second chance opportunities, it's picked up. And Brandon Johnson resets the half-court offense. Pruitt with a nice drop step, man, the finish.
Really nice setup by Sean Pruitt there. It showed a couple of spin moves. First went left, came back to the right, got cut off, spun back. Nice soft left-hand touch.
He did not play yesterday, but that's not unusual in Summer League play.
Now, a lot of coaches will designate which players are going to play on a given day to make sure that they get a rhythm going and get enough minutes to get a sweat going. And we see Sam go to the basket. Oh, sorry, Alan.
When you talked about the left-hand look.
Yeah, a great jab step there to get him off balance and then spins back. Great use of the glass right there. Sometimes the big defenders forget that there's the window behind them and think that the offensive player is going to go right to the rim, but laid that off the glass nicely and it fell in for him.
Lobby a second-round pick, and a second-round pick coming over to the Raptors in a cash deal. So they liked what they saw enough to spend the money on Solomon Alabi because he was taken 50th overall by the Dallas Mavericks. Good stroke at the free throw line, and now tries to put Toronto back up by 11.
He's actually a very, very good shooter for his size at 7'1". And this is another guy that Alabi they're looking at obviously for an inside presence, as we talked about, just having nothing there last year. They need somebody to clog up the middle, and 7'1" with those arms and legs, that's going to take up some space.
Step back. Pokrashov forced it a bit, and he's at the free throw line. We're talking about the whistles, trying to get in a flow of the game. For coaches to see these players and kind of grade these players, they need to have 2 or 3 minutes of play.
Yeah, very difficult to this point in this game for Phoenix to, and Dan Marley over there coaching to get an assessment of what these guys can do. Just too many whistles at this point.
Lobby, as I mentioned, the second round by Dallas, all defensive team, and also a guy that was a great shot blocker in college, so knew his role. Playing at Florida State, the 22-year-old from Nigeria. 23-13, a 10-point ball game. We're at Cox Pavilion at the campus of UNLV. DeMar DeRozan back in the game. Little pick from Sam. Nothing available on the roll. High-low action. Sam getting out of the paint. Yeah, and they'll call a double dribble.
Toronto's got a little look of the Twin Towers going here. The two 7-footers going high-low. Little David Robinson to Tim Duncan triangle offense. That's a lot of length out there for Toronto.
And can they capitalize? They're already up by 10. But that's most of that damage. DeMar DeRozan and Sonny Weems, not the big guys. The whistle on a shot. And free throws this time for Brandon Johnson.
First personal.
So the opportunity is going to be there for someone to fill the role. Kevin McHale and I were talking about it yesterday. A 20 and 10 guy, 35 to 36 minutes on the floor. That is available. Now, probably going to take two guys to fill up what Stoudemire did. But that is going to be the situation for Alvin Gentry. Steve Nash is truly going to make somebody else look good.
He always does, Joel. And, you know, the thing about it is there's still a lot of fluidity left in this summer in the free agents. There are a lot of free agents still out there that have tremendous experience, that can help out a ball club. So there's, I think, a significant amount of moves left in the NBA summer before we get to training camp. They're going to help out some of these ball clubs. And Phoenix could be one of those teams interested in making those kind of moves.
And we also hear so much about potential trades still to be coming. Players that are going to be moved where teams do not want to continue to pay some of the salaries.
Yeah, the fallout of the LeBron Bachelor. Good attack there. But the fallout of LeBron's decision is going to take some time for people to weed through exactly where it is that they want to go in terms of setting up their roster. So there's plenty of time left in the summer before we get to any sort of training camp in October for teams to make significant moves to help bolster their lineup.
Former Louisville Cardinal Earl Clark trying to posterize the Toronto Raptors Summer League edition. They must have said something to Earl after looking at the film yesterday, going to the basket early today.
I don't think Alvin Gentry has any problem with Earl taking the ball off the dribble and attacking the basket when it's there, Joel. But what he was upset about with him, and what they talk about with him often, and it must have been a point of emphasis last year, be a facilitator. When you get the ball, move the ball. You know, the more movement you create, the more open opportunity either you or your teammates are going to have on a given possession. That's what they want to see from him, along with a concerted defensive effort.
Hooked out of bounds by Hill on the double on DeMar DeRozan. So it doesn't stop. Too often we see guys, the offense stops when it goes into their hands.
Yeah, and if you have watched Phoenix Suns over the last 5 or 6 years, you know that it's one of the best passing teams that we have in the league. They play up-tempo, so you cannot have an offensive player out there on the floor that's not capable of moving the ball and moving himself.
Cheek Sam tried to share it, but at the wrong time. Shot clock violation with 47.4 to play. And it's back to the Raptors on a turnover. That is the 5th turnover for the Raptors. Despite that, though, they're still up by 9, 3 for 20. The shooting, Earl Clark with a long stroke. So Earl Clark, his first basket of the game on his 3rd try. See if he can get some boards as well, though, for a guy that size. Where he only had 3 yesterday in just about 26 minutes. Still without a rebound so far today.
Well, got an interesting matchup with Sam there, so taking advantage of him being a little bit more athletic and offensive.
Dribble penetration pays off. D. Brown setting up a lobby. Final shot now for the Phoenix Suns squad. A miserable start for them offensively. Wow, the Toronto Raptors going inside regularly have hit 57% of their shots. Nobody else is going to touch it. Earl Clark, good look. And no cracks in the window that time, as that'll take us to the end of the first quarter. 25-16 Raptors on top of the Suns. And it was the combination of DeMar DeRozan and Sonny Weems early for the Toronto Raptors. We'll come right back, continue with NBA TV's coverage of the Summer League in Las Vegas, the Raptors and the Suns.